we will discuss this pattern. Okay, this pattern, if you observe, see, it's the combination of two different patterns, right? Okay, if you observe this pattern, it's a combination of two different patterns, right? So you can consider this as one pattern, up to this as one pattern, and from here to here, from here to here, we can consider as another pattern. Okay, so this is the upper half of the pattern. So this pattern is consisting of two different patterns. Okay, this is the upper half of the pattern and this is the below half of the pattern. Okay, now we have to write the program for these two different patterns, okay, separately. Okay, now we'll see how to write the upper half of the pattern and lower half of the pattern. Okay, so the upper half of the pattern, if you observe, there are seven rows and there are 7 stars in the first row. Okay, and when you come to spaces, there is no space in the first row, and from the second row spaces are starting, right? From the second row, 1 2 3 4 5 spaces are there, 6 spaces are there in the last row. Okay, so the spaces are starting from 1 to 6 except for the first row. Okay, from the second row spaces are starting in the starting of the each row, spaces are there except for the first row. Okay, from the second row, in the starting of the each element, spaces are there. Okay, from 1 to 6. Okay, so spaces are in the increasing order, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6, and how the elements are in the decreasing order, 6 5 4 3 2 1, right? So stars are in the decreasing order, 6 5 4 means 6, from the 6 to 1, right? Decreasing order. Okay, so we'll see how to write the program. For int I equal to 1, I less than or equal to n, and I plus plus I am writing after that. For int j equal to 1, okay, for spaces, for the spaces I am writing, in the first row there are no spaces, that's why I am writing j less than I condition and j plus plus. Okay, so this is for the spaces. Okay, this is for the spaces in the starting of the each row except in the first row. Okay, after that we have to print in a start state. For that, for int j equal to, in the first row there are 7 stars, right? So starting element is n and j greater than or equal to I. Okay, and j minus minus, and the stars are in the decreasing order. Okay, so writing like this. The in between the star space is there, I am adding space also. Okay, and after that, okay, we are coming to the next row. Okay, so if you observe, only first row and left edge and right edges are having stars, in between there are no stars, right? For that we have to add condition like, okay, I'm adding condition if I equal to 1 means for the first row, or okay, for the last column or for the first row, and first column or last column we have to print the stars, right? Only in these three conditions star should be there, remaining all we should print the spaces, right? For that I am writing if else condition. So now we will see whether we are getting upper half of the pattern or not. Okay. So whenever I equal to 1, so if you observe j greater than or equal to j equal to n, I equal to 1, or j equal to n, or j equal to I only, we should print the stars, right? Okay. Okay, for int I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 1, this is true, and j equal to 1, j less than I, j plus plus. Okay, it has to, we have to add the, here we have added spaces, right? So here also we should add another space. Okay, now we will check. Yeah, this is what we got the upper half of the pattern, right? Till this we printed. Now we will focus on the lower half of the pattern. So lower half of the pattern is starting from row 2, right? So we have to consider from I equal to 2. Okay, I equal to 1, first row already considered in the upper half of the pattern, right? After that, if you observe the spaces, here there are 6 spaces, right? Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces, right? Now there are how many spaces? Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, right? 1 to 5, right? We want 1 to 5 spaces, means from 5 to 1, right? Spaces are in the decreasing order, and the rows are in the elements in the each row are in the increasing order. Okay, so for that we have to write another for loop. Okay, for int I equal to 1, I less than or equal to n, and I plus plus. Okay, for the below half of the pattern, sorry, it has to start from I equal to 2, right? Okay, I equal to 2. This one star is already included in the upper half of the pattern. You're starting from I equal to 2. Okay, and I less than or equal to I plus plus. And now I have to write for int j is equal to n minus I, it should be, right? Because in the first row, if you observe how many spaces are there, here 5, right? 5 spaces. How 5 will come? 7 minus 2, 5, right? That's why I have to take n minus I. Okay, I have to take n minus I, and j greater than or equal to 1 I am writing, and j minus minus. Okay, and after that I have to print the spaces. After that I have to print the stars, right? So for that I am taking another for loop. So to print the elements, so elements are starting from 2 to 7, right? So in j is equal to 1, j less than or equal to I, and j plus plus plus. Okay, to print the stars, right? Stars with spaces. Okay. After that, he has to come to the next line. I'm closing the scan at last to avoid any resource leaks. Okay. So we'll see now how we will get the pattern once. See, in the lower half of the pattern, we don't want spaces in between, right? It should be empty in middle of the pattern. Okay, in below half of the pattern, it should be empty, right? So we have to replace the stars with the spaces. For that, I have to add a if condition. So whenever j equal to 1 means for the first column, okay, or j equal to I means for the last column and for the last row only star should be present, remaining all should be empty, means spaces. Okay, else remaining all should be with the empty spaces. Okay, yeah, this is what we want, right? This is what we got. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Yeah, so yeah, this is how we have to write the program to print this pattern. Hope you understand. If you have any doubts, please comment below. Thank you.